after a couple of nights staying at Balaji Rock. Packed up this morning on the road by about 9:30, which wasn't too bad considering the fact that the canvas was a bit wet from the dew again. This is Bullfinch. Really not very much here, as you can see. Take a pan down the main street. They do have a little caravan facility here apparently, but yeah, very, very sparse little town. And I wonder if the pub's still operating. I know a lot of these old pubs closed down, which is really sad. Well, as you could tell, Bullfinch wasn't much to it, just the pub and a few old buildings and lots of wrecked cars. And now we're on our way to Southern Cross, but before we get there we're going to check out what's listed on Wikicaps as a campsite at Lake Koorkoordine. I suppose that's how you pronounce it, Koorkoordine.
Pretty view, isn't it?
Not bad. Well, this little campsite is only a few kilometres out of Southern Cross, Lake Koorkoordine, or Koorkoordine, depending on your pronunciation, I suppose. It's Salt Lake. A few little reasonable spots we've seen to camp. You could just pull in here. Good for a one-nighter or something like that, as long as there's some water in the lake. I suppose it's pretty pleasant. And not very far now to get to Southern Cross, and then we'll have a look around there. Southern Cross is the biggest town between Merredin and Kalgoorlie and offers a number of interesting attractions for visitors. There is a self-contained RV rest area near town, although I think my preference would be to stay out at Lake Koorkoordine, as the rest area is right next to the Great Eastern Highway and subject to noise from passing trucks. The main street has a mixture of modern and heritage buildings, with the old hotels standing out as some of the best examples of their kind. They give only a hint of just how important Southern Cross once was, when the goldfields to the east were starting to develop. We would have liked to stay in the area a little longer, but once again, there was some less than perfect weather forecast, so we needed to find a cabin or motel for the night, and hadn't managed to find anything in Southern Cross when we first tried making a booking. It was the same with Merredin, with all but the most expensive accommodation booked out, and we only just managed to find something in Bruce Rock, so there were still a few kilometres left to drive. There's an excellent museum to explore, and there's a lot more to it than may first appear from the road. Oh, telephone exchange. How things have changed since those days.
You can imagine walking from Perth with a few basic supplies and or living in something like that on the goldfields. Somewhat different these days.
Pinpricks on the map, like Maureen Rock and Koorkoordine, flashed past as we drove west, and at Koorkoordine we turned north for a quick look at Westonia. Westonia is a very interesting little town, and we have stayed there before and explored it quite thoroughly. This time we just drove through to get a bit of updated footage, and then continued back to the highway. Anyone visiting Westonia is highly advised to check out the Hoodpen Museum. This is one of the best regional museums we have seen, so make the effort to check it out if you're in the area. More tiny places like Koorkoordine and Wheatbelt flashed past on our way to Merredin. Merredin is quite a large town, with a population of over 3,500 people. We wanted to take some time to explore the town, but with almost 50 kilometres still left to drive, we only had a quick look, as we knew we'd return the following day. The one thing I really wanted to see in Merredin this time was the military museum, as I'd missed out on it on a previous trip. With the day rapidly coming to an end, we made our way south to Bruce Rock and had a quick look at the rock that gave Bruce Rock its name. The rock is hardly impressive. In fact, it's one of the least impressive outcrops we've seen, but historically it's important as a source of water.
This is Bruce's Rock. We're staying in Bruce Rock tonight, the town, and this is the little reserve just about 3 k's out of town. Quite a pleasant little spot, but it's a day use only site, so you don't have to get your hopes up for any kind of camping here. A couple of old wells here that were built way back when. Nice little picnic table. And although the flowers look nice, they're not the sort of flowers you really want to see. Because for safety's sake, all covered in these days. It's at the bottom of the rock here. I guess there's some kind of soak. There's another probably even older one. A pleasant enough little picnic spot. It's as I say, it's a day use only site, so you can't camp here unfortunately.
Once we'd visited the rock, it was time to go to the motel and settle down for the evening. The motel's a little bit dated, but had everything we needed, and the owners, Kevin and O, were very friendly and delightful to talk to. As the motel also offered meals, we decided to eat there, and the meal was not only delicious, it was huge. There turned out to be enough for 2 meals, so we kept half for another day and packed it in our fridge. The motel rooms are a bit of an odd design, but they're perfectly suitable for us, and we had a very good night's sleep. The next day, we planned to head back to Merredin, and then head west along the highway to check out a campsite at Bandy Lake, before driving to Koorkoordine and turning south to Bruce Rock. But that is another day and another episode.